Hey there, I'm Patrick Franco, and joining us today is Melly, who will be our student as we look at Urdhva Dhanurasana, which is translated as upward bow pose, which you may know as full wheel. Now, this is a supine back bend, meaning that it's a back bend in which the front of your body is facing upwards. It's also a pose in which there's a lot of weight bearing on the hands and the arms and the legs. This big back bend you're typically going to find at the end of a yoga class, hopefully when you're well prepared and warmed up. This shape stretches the fronts of the thighs and quadriceps, the psoas muscle. It stretches the abdominal muscles and the spinal muscles, as well as the upper back, armpits, and the throat and neck. It strengthens the hamstrings and glute muscles, which provide support to open up the front of the pelvis. It strengthens the muscles of the back in order to open and stretch the front of the chest. And it strengthens the arms and the shoulder muscles, which provide support in order for us to lift up. So we're going to take a look at it now. Melly's going to start by lying on her back with her knees bent. And in many ways, it's almost going to start similarly to bridge pose. The feet can be hip distance wide underneath the knees, and the hands can start resting by the sides. Now, one thing that we need to make sure of as we start to lift up is that the toes and the feet often want to turn out. And we really want the feet to remain parallel to each other, mainly to keep spaciousness in the lumbar spine. So that's something to keep in mind as we enter the shape. The next part is that Melly is going to bring her hands alongside her ears. And notice that she bent her elbows, and the wrists are going to go as best as possible alongside the ears and under the elbows. Now, depending on how stiff or tight you are in your back, you can turn your fingers towards the sides of the mat. And if that's the case, and you need more space, you can even widen your hands further away from the side of your head. Otherwise, the fingers will face directly in towards the body. Now, just like bridge pose, we need to get the tailbone and sacrum and glutes and hamstrings to engage to open up the front of the body, the pelvis, and then we need to get the upper back and shoulders to engage to open up the chest and the torso. So she's going to start by pressing her heels down, lifting her hips. So similar to bridge, from here, we're going to ask if she can get her upper back to coil in, and she's going to slip onto the crown of her head. And that gets the upper back in. Now comes the extension of the arms. Breathe in, and as she breathes out, she's going to press her hands and her feet down simultaneously to allow the whole back of the body to support the opening of the front of the body. The front of the pelvis is opening because the hamstrings and the glutes are engaged. The chest is opening because her shoulders and back ribs are firming. To come out, she can tap the crown of her head down and then uncoil from there and slide onto her back. Good. So that's Urdhva Dhanurasana. It's a great pose to really open up the front of the body. We do have to be careful of the toes turning out. And when that happens, we oftentimes will cue, take your toes in, take your heels out, and that keeps the spaciousness in the lumbar spine. We are going to look at one variation of this pose by using a bolster and a block. So Melly is going to set up the bolster in which she can lie down on it, and she's going to put the block at the end of the bolster just so that she can sit and then lie all the way back. Now, this depends on how long your torso is, obviously, but the idea is that when she lies down, she wants her head to remain on the bolster. The benefit of this is she doesn't have to work as hard to lift up away from the floor. She's getting a head start by using the bolster. Everything else will remain the same. Her feet are underneath her knees. They're parallel to the edges of the mat. She'll slip her hands by her head alongside her ears, wrists under the elbows. She's going to lift her hips. Now, when you use the bolster, you have to coil your upper back in and slide the crown of your head onto the bolster. Good. And then from here, she'll extend her arms, pressing her heels straightening her arms, getting the shoulders and back ribs to firm in so that her chest opens, getting the tailbone and glutes to firm and her hamstrings to open up the front of her pelvis. To come out, you'll come down the same way, crown of the head touches. You do have to lift your head a little to slide your head out so your hair doesn't get pulled out, and then she can rest. And it is actually nice to come out of Urdhva Dhanurasana resting on a bolster. All right, so there you have it. Urdhva Dhanurasana, upward bow, which you may know as full wheel. It's a very active back bend that you'll see towards the end of a yoga class. We'll see you on the mat again next time.